Welcome to The Craft. I'm Abriel.
I'm Destiny, and today we're in Uptown Jazz Club.
That's nice. Yeah, it's our first time. So excited.
Welcome, yes. Because today we have some amazing poets.
And so we asked our poets to create a special piece that you'll see throughout the episode.
And our conversation topic for today is a big one.
Yeah.
It's a big one. Mental health.
All right.
Because we know within our community, it's not something that's discussed often.
And for our poets and even others, writing can be a form of therapy. So let's get into it.
The craft.
Good morning! What's up, all my beautiful people?
Oh, wait. Yeah.
It's your boy Karan, a.k.a. Paperback Johnny, a.k.a. Shoe Shine Simmons, a.k.a. Bars Over Baghdad. And today, we are filming another episode of The Craft. What is your name, beautiful?
Berkaya.
And what is your name, handsome?
Tanya.
We can't hear you.
Zaya!
All right, now, let's get into it.
Oh, wait. Yeah. I take flight, you standing by the paradise. I paradise.
Yo, it's Glow.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Headed to the set of The Craft. Hope you guys tune in.
Oh, what up, people?
Oh, wait. Yeah. I take
It's your boy John, and I'm outside The Craft right now. The meeting headquarters of the flyest poets, writers, dancers, rappers. Just it's a showcase of all black everything. This black magic is about to hit you in your face, and I can't wait for you to see it, boy.
WJ Lofton here,
Oh, wait. Yeah.
headed to the craft. I'm a local poet living in Atlanta, and we're supposed to be talking about mental health in the black community today. I'm looking forward to the conversation. It's one that's much needed, and hopefully you get something out of it. Hopefully this continues the conversation and expounds on mental health in the black community.
Bob your heads if you rockin' with the crowd. Discussing serious topics, the stuff that make you laugh. Informational and necessary, we do it all. Writing our own stories, cause they always drop the ball. Exemplified talents, we control the way we look. This ain't a clickbait site, man, it's off the hook. So check it, this ain't the drama field, all about a dollar bill. This is black excellence, something that you gotta feel. Bob your heads if you're rockin' with the crowd. Bob your heads if you're rockin' with the crowd. Grab a seat, go ahead, pull up a chair. Oh yeah, it's the craft.
We're excited to get into the craft conversations today. We're hanging out with some talented poets.
Welcome, guys.
Hello. We're excited.
Right.
So, everyone, what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about mental health. It's often an issue that we sweep up under the rug. We don't really talk about it. We don't really face it head on. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. So let's jump right in it.
Yeah, so we know within our community, our history carries a certain weight. It's heavy.
Right.
But we also know living in America today, that carries another certain weight. So, Will, do you think that affects our mental health? Do you think they both affect them together, or it's two separate things that has effect on us mentally?
So I definitely believe it's like a intersection of both.
Okay.
And we first have to start the dialogue of how do black people navigate the white heteronormative world in America. And then that bridges into the trauma that we have to visit and the conflicts, the internal conflicts and the conversations and the dialogue that need to take place. And the rehabilitation that we lack. You know, if we speak on most people that have, or a genocide, or people like the Jews, you know, they got reparations, and not to diminish the effects of the Holocaust, but slavery, we are the only people that have not visited what healing means in a very concrete way. And so when you leave people to take care of their trauma without giving them the access and the voice and the routes to do so, it's going to be very detrimental, right?
Yeah.
It's like putting a fire into a forest, and the forest itself does not understand the tools to put the fire out.
Yeah.
So we're in constant battle and creating cycles of dysfunction.
Yeah.
But we think it's functional because that's all we know. We become familiar with these demons.
We normalize.
We normalize it, right? And so we pass it along, and that's also how patriarchy works, right?
Yeah.
You know, patriarchy does not only affect men, it also, and it transcends gender. It allows for abuse, right? You know, some black parents beat their kids to keep them safe, but that in effect though, that causes that child trauma because I do not know how to navigate, I do not know how to move in this society. And then I'm going to continue to beat my kids and my grandkids because in my mind I have conditioned that to mean safety.
It works.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that you know.
Yeah.
Or you feel like that's the only thing that actually, you know, can actually work. It's that, it's the quickest thing, it's just that hurt that comes to us.
Completely.
And so you definitely talked about slavery a lot. You know, that's something that we're also dealing with now. You know, people think that we're free. We're not free, especially in corporate America.
Not at all.
Anybody want to touch on that, just kind of how that mental health affects your body or your workplace?
I think it's a big mind game because I don't feel like you should put a dollar amount on your time, especially because somebody, who are you to tell me that an hour of my time is worth $9.25? You know what I'm saying? Like, that don't make sense to me. This shirt costs $12, so an hour of my time is worth less than a shirt. Like, that don't make sense to me. And you'll give me all these glitz and glamours, these perks like 401k and dental insurance to make me feel like y'all giving me something, but not really. Y'all don't care about this. Y'all just hiring somebody to do a job for you to make you more money than you was ever thinking about paying me. But they make you sign this contract, and now you coming to work, you clocking in, getting your coins, but you ain't thinking about the psychological effects of it. You spending more time at work than you spending at home with your children, with your family, working on the things that you love to do. So now you're not happy because you're spending most of your time at a place that's basically a hell for you.
So poetry is like your safe place. You know, what do you put your feelings on paper? Like, you know, how do you deal with this? How do you cope with this issue?
All of it. I put all my feelings on paper because I feel like that's the one place I can say exactly what I feel, and you gotta listen to me. I don't get no rebuttals. It's like anything you have to ask me what did I mean, but you can't cut me off.
Yeah.
Because this is my paper, this is my platform. I can write till the pen stops, but it's just like an outlet for me. Whether I'm happy, I'm sad, or I'm confused, I can write about it, and I can always go back to that place and remember, okay, this is why I felt that way. This is how I process it. This is how I got out of it, and I'm better.
Yeah, and it's yours. Nobody can tell you, oh, well, you should have done it that way, or you should have done it that way, or anything like that. It's your form of letting the world know how you feel, what you think, and what moves you, and nobody else can touch that. And it's a great feeling. It is.
Honestly.
Going off feeling, like we know words are powerful, and so you know you can't come to the craft without presenting your craft. So let's check out one of the pieces from our poets.
Just breathe, just breathe, just breathe.
It's the elephant in the room. If the room was a prison cell, it's the devil on my right shoulder and the devil on my left screaming, judging. You're not good enough. Why do you write? You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. It's cold hands wrapping around my neck, tightening every time I speak. It's the devil in the fucking corner of my room, judging me, watching me. It's the 3 bars, the 3 bars of that Eminem song, you know? Like palms sweaty, knees weak, arms heavy. It's a boulder in my chest that happens to get a lot heavier in a crowded room. It's Neo inside the Matrix after I took the red pill. But if you ask me, Ja, how are you? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
So, John, that was an amazing piece. That was great, 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 great. So we know within our community, faith is important. And believing in God, whoever you believe in, it's something that carries a weight in our community. But do you believe that our churches have a responsibility for encouraging us to say, yes, you can believe in whatever you believe in, but also it's okay to seek help, professional help, when you're dealing with mental health?
I think that historically, like, we as a people, all we had was our faith. So now we're stuck on the stage, especially black churches, where they feel like if you come to the pastor like, hey, I haven't slept in 3 days and I haven't ate since I don't know how long and I feel empty and I've been cutting myself. Oh, you need to pray that way.
Just pray about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the devil right there. And okay, that's cool, but you pray and then you sit there and you, because I've been somewhere in that situation where you pray and you think, okay, I prayed for so long, and now it's like God isn't answering me.
Yeah.
And I'm still stuck in this type of thing. I'm still stuck in this depression. All the while, there was this resource right around, I can't even say right around the block, but there's this resource where I can talk to somebody and I can get that help that I need. So yeah, I think that it would be nice if the black churches offered some kind of mental health type of therapy, like some kind of pastoral therapy. But I don't really think that's really the thing that a lot of black churches can't even offer, because a lot of black churches are just in certain areas that we're just poor. We just don't even have we don't have those
Resources.
right.
Yeah.
We don't have those options. So I don't know. I think it goes back to even a bigger system where we have to kind of make these options as accessible to these individuals that are suffering in poverty. Because you can't even, if I'm worrying about what I'm going to eat today, I really don't have time to really worry about why I think the way I think. Because I got food I got to put on the table. I got kids. Yeah, right. I got kids I got to take care of. So no. So it's all about, first and foremost, making sure your finances or the socioeconomic status is at a level where I can even have the privilege of fixing these worries that I have. So,
and to piggyback off them, right? In order for the church to say, like, I recommend this, they have to believe in it first.
Right.
Right. They have to think it's a viable resource and say, you know what? I don't have all the answers. Let me recommend. But the issue is, and it goes back to the trauma rooted in slavery, that when violence visited them, they were told, to pray about it. And so that language has become a vehicle, and it has moved its way through our lineage, and we think we're forced to just pray things away, right? Instead of seeking professional help, and we see the effects of that. And that also allows for rape and molestation in churches, because pastors, you're going to your pastor and they feed off these things. Because some of them do not have the credentials. Some of them are not qualified to be in churches, in pulpits. And of course they cannot take on the emotional yoke of people. So it's a whole misguided mess.
Right. Yeah.
I be feeling like it's a lack of true empathy within like the churches. They just like you said, bro, they just tell you to pray it away, but they don't ask you any questions to get to the root of the problem. It's just like, from my personal experience, I kind of got like this "it's us or else" mentality from the church. Like, if you don't pray or you don't believe in this, you are outcast. Because you don't agree or think the way that we think, we can't really help you, or we don't know how to help you, or we don't care to help you, because they don't ask you, why do you feel this way? Okay, what happened to you? How did you process that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just, okay, I just lost my house, pray about it. My grandma just died, pray about it. Like, that's not it, bro. We need to have a conversation about this. Like, figure me out. Like, help me. Like, people really need help, but you can't just pray everything away or put a dot of oil on my forehead and think I'm gonna be okay. It's not. It's not
It's
it.
all the devil, and Jesus is the answer.
Yeah.
So can you blame churches though? Because let's say if they haven't been through what you're going through, how can they really help you? They can get to understand you, they can pray for you, but can they really understand you? Even though somebody's praying for you and you're like, I lost my house, I lost my job, I'm living on the side of the street, but they're like, they have sympathy for you, but at the same time, they can't really put themselves in your shoes. So do you kind of blame them for that, or what would you do in that case?
I wouldn't blame them. Because if you're asking for help, it's ultimately not anybody's job to help you if you're asking. I would say that you should maybe find somewhere that feels more true in the sense to you. If you don't feel like that's really cultivating you in the way that you need to help you get out of that sunken place or whatever you're going through, go somewhere else. I mean, I wouldn't blame them. I just feel like that they don't necessarily have the tools to help you and that they don't try. And not saying that that's not that it's their fault because they don't have to. So no, I wouldn't blame them.
I disagree. They do have to.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
They are taxed to, right?
Okay.
To if we're talking about Christian church,
Yep.
right?
Right. Okay.
Their task is to exemplify what Christ is.
Yep.
And Christ is love.
Mm-hmm.
Love is not turning your back. Love makes ways. Love, it's a function.
Okay.
So compassion and empathy are all these things. So no, it is their responsibility.
Okay.
And I'm not blaming this, but it's accountability.
Yes.
Right?
All right, let's check out another piece.
I smiled today, just so no one would ask me if I was okay. I got up and moisturized my hair. I mean, it's all right to look like I care. I even took a shower, just to stand there and cry for half an hour. Why is this so hard? Simple daily tasks become a struggle as the voices in my head take over and I just want to lie down. The weight of the world is feeling like way too much and I just want to give up, so let me. Don't call me, don't text me, because I just can't today. Just leave me here alone with my thoughts. Old memories of not being good enough, new ones. Constant reminders of who I'll never be and what I'll never see and where I'll never go consume me. And I just want to be alone.
All right, so Glo, so kind of tell me, how do we normalize mental health in the African American community?
For one, we have to stop being afraid to talk about it. A lot of African Americans feel like we are supposed to be okay and strong all the time, and that's not the case. Like, everyone goes through things, and if you don't have an outlet to talk about it, somewhere to talk to, you just overprocess it in your mind, and it kind of drives you crazy in a sense. So just being able to talk about it, feeling free to come to someone and say, hey, I'm not okay. Can I talk to you? And having that open invitation to talk. A lot of people don't want to hear your problems because, they're going through their own things, or a lot of people just don't really care. Like, compassion. And we need more compassion. We need more empathy and just love in general. And once we get that, and we just... Sorry.
And I feel like as African Americans, sometimes we aren't allowed to be human.
Yeah.
Because we have to put up this is like Lo said, we gotta be strong, we gotta be on it, we gotta work 10 times as hard. Right. But sometimes it's like, I had a bad day today and I wanted to go off on 4 of my coworkers and snap, but I can't do that.
And I don't like that. I feel like it started so early, especially with
Yes.
the youth. Nobody opens the floor for questioning. You always
Yes.
telling the child to be quiet, stay in your place. But why can't I ask you a
Question? Why
If
can't
I
I
don't know something, why can't you give me an answer? You know
Right,
what I'm saying? It's a
exactly.
simple conversation. So now, when I'm 21 and 23, I got a high level of anxiety. I can't go in a room and ask anybody nothing. I feel like everybody's staring at you. Feel me? I feel like everybody's staring at me because that's the way that I was brought up. When you go in a room, don't ask nobody nothing.
But I think that's why, as poets, we're so important.
Right.
Yes.
Because obviously they don't have the language.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're tasked, that's our responsibility to, vocalize, to write, to bring into perspective what our experiences are, to expose the human condition and say this is how we move and this is our narrative and this is how we operate.
To be vulnerable.
Yeah. Like I heard a speech from Durant, he said young people are always told, you see that too, that he said something along the lines of they don't know how to express themselves, but they just don't have the language yet. Like they don't have the wording, but they're doing what poets are doing, they're doing what us as adults are doing. And so we have to challenge our youth and give them, like you said, the floor and open the door to say, no, tell me exactly how you're feeling. You're not gonna get in trouble for it. Show me. You want to just beat up this pillow right now.
I'm 20. with it.
Because for so long, like as a child, you weren't allowed to voice your opinion. You weren't allowed to ask questions. It was called talking back, and it's like, but I just didn't know.
Exactly. Right.
You know, like with my children, I tell them always ask questions. Always, because there's a way to do it without being disrespectful, without challenging the adult. There's a way to get knowledge, and if we don't give our youth that knowledge, then they're gonna grow up just, okay, well, what am I supposed to do now? Well, what am I supposed to do? Because you were always telling them what to do, never giving them a voice of their own.
They're gonna have that anger, and they're gonna have that just that pent-up aggression that supposedly all black men have, because you're never allowed to be more than. That's the whole thing. You're not I feel like as a black woman, you can't be. You're always independent, and you have to be strong.
Right.
Otherwise, you're looked at differently. As a man, I always have to be. I'm heartless. I'm angry.
I hate that though. Man. Like y'all can't even raise y'all voice. Oh, she angry. No, but she can't. She
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. It is emotion.
There's
You are
so
a
many
human
different
being.
emotions, yes.
Right.
And then with men, it's y'all can't cry, or y'all aren't allowed to vent or
Right.
tell how you feel.
Right.
You guys have feelings too. That you should be allowed to tell how you feel and speak, because it usually leads to resentment and anger and just a whole bunch of other things that could have been avoided if we had just talked about it. You know, if we had just vented to someone.
Yeah, the truth always has a way of showing its face.
Yeah. And you got get in that never-ending cycle of just ignoring and discrediting how someone's mental state is, because you're like, oh no, you're crazy. We go back to that praying about it thing. So,
And if they are crazy, right? If they are mentally, unstable, we have, and I would say the black community, we have a way of throwing words around that should not be thrown around.
Exactly.
Right? And we normalize it.
Yep.
I've heard, oh, you're bipolar. Oh, you got issues. It's like no, I'm upset. I have feelings. I have emotions, and you have to have a way to give them an outlet. And if not, then you're just driving yourself crazy. And then when you do find a snap, it's like, oh, where'd that come from? It's been
pushed you over the
good.
mountain.
It's been in the works for some time now. Right. So let's check out another piece.
You don't know what it feels like to call your son every day, not knowing if you're going to hear from him again. To embrace that last hug, not knowing if you're ever going to touch him again. But it's cool, because you don't know what it feels like. But see, I feel like I should just call you a bitch. Because when my thing got thick, you decided to jump ship, and now you're the cause of all this shit. But it's cool, right? Because you don't know what it feels like. To cry yourself to sleep night after night, wondering if a 3-year-old thinks of you just as much as you think of him. You see, I've been thrown in the deep end without learning how to swim. How can I win? That's not a question. It's more so of a cry for help. My father was vaguely there, and reversing that cycle is where I prided myself, but it's cool, because you don't know what it feels like. To exercise every resource and option you have available to be present and provide in your child's life, just to be told it's not enough. You can do more. But since you don't know my business, you fabricate these dry ass stories about me being papered up. Like, what the fuck? I mean, doesn't my son deserve to have a father? And since you're so familiar with the feeling, why not help break that glass ceiling that inaccurately paints the picture that black men don't take care of their children? But you'd much rather enable the stats so you could pat yourself on the back and say, I do this all by myself, knowing damn well I tried to help, just for you to turn me down and twist my words around and try to make it seem like it's me. It's like every time I find a way to stand directly in front of him, you cover his eyes so that he can't see. But can't you see? They always ask you, how do you make it look so easy? But they never think to ask me, how does it feel?
And this question is for anybody on the floor. Just kind of tell me, when you present your poetry or present your work to others, what are some emotions or things that you want them to get or take away from your piece?
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Like just whatever I write, I remember exactly where I was when I wrote it and how I felt and the memory that evoked that. And at the very least, if you write that, I want you to have that same feeling, or just to be like, oh, okay, I feel that, I can relate to that, 'Cause I feel like when I write mainly about love. Well, not even love, just heartbreak, just hurt. And I think we all know about hurt in some form. Like, that's the point. We all know about that. And at the very least, I'm writing from, I feel like it's a common place that if you read even one piece, you're like, yo,
I can relate to that.
Yeah, I can feel that.
I didn't even know you wrote for a minute. I was like, hold on. I seen one post, then I seen it. Hold on.
Because it was
They're kind of cool.
Because I was going through my own jump.
You've been holding that,
Right, because I was going through my own jump. It comes from a real place. I was going through my own heartbreak.
And then that's something that I could relate to on another level with you,
Right.
you know. So I was like, okay, so now we got something else to discuss. We got something else we can talk about.
It's a dialogue.
I know for me though, I like the reactions I get, cause like I be writing, and like I could be writing some cool stuff, but if I know I got a dope line, I be waiting on that reaction. So when I hit the ooh, I was like, yes. I knew it was gonna get y'all. I knew it, cause I know it's a lot of people who feel exactly the same way, but people just are scared to talk about it. So it's like, okay, if I'm up here, I'm speaking for more than just myself when I'm speaking, and everybody's paying attention to me. So it'll be a disservice to myself and everyone else who's feeling just like me if I don't project myself in a way to make you feel what I'm saying, to make you be like, you know what, I never thought about it that way, but I feel you.
Yeah.
I think like the beginning, for me, it's like showing up for myself and being present.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And then allowing them to meet me on the level I have met myself.
Oh, that's
right?
deep.
And so I have met myself. I have knocked on the door, walked in, and so it allows them to walk in because I'm presenting to you vulnerability. I'm presenting to you honesty. I'm taking off the mask. You know, James Baldwin said, you know, love takes off the mask, right? And so that's why, you know, love and heartbreak is so important to talk about, because love it has kept us here and it's going to continue to carry us.
And so what are some touchy subjects that you guys are maybe afraid to write on, or that you think people will turn their nose up? Anything?
Nothing to me, because well, at least how I write it's my perspective on things, and I adore my perspective because it's my perspective, like it's me. And like you said, once you know yourself, you're invincible. Because once you know yourself, you know your flaws, you know your good, you know your bad. Nobody can say nothing to you. Because I know that, bro.
Exactly.
I'm still that dude. Like it don't matter. Like so there's nothing that I feel like. There's nothing that I feel like I'm afraid to write about, as in it's gonna, I'll write about this, it's gonna get this reaction. Okay, if it does, I adore that because it gave you a feeling. And then we can discuss that. Oh, wow, you know, wow, Jai, this jump made me feel like, you know, made me feel like you were a type of way. All right, let's talk about it. And that's a dialogue, and that opens me up to your perspective, and I open you up to mine again.
I used to have a big issue with writing about sad stuff, because I used to feel like didn't nobody want to hear it. But it was like I kept battling with myself because I was like, this is what I'm going through. So it's like time after time, I'm like, I'll write something, throw it away. But it's like, nah, bro, you got to get this out. Because if not, just going to keep eating at you and eating at you and eating at you. So now I really be at the point where like I don't really care. So it's like either you going to feel it or you don't.
Because somebody needs to hear that.
Yeah.
Especially for
and I got to get it out, even more so for them to hear it. I need to hear it. I need to see it and visualize it and get it out.
And if it terrifies you, right, you should definitely write it.
Oh, yes.
Those are the best.
Yes.
Get afraid.
Yeah, and I wrote a poem about rape. And I was very like apprehensive at first to expose so much vulnerability. But now we want to talk about R. Kelly, right?
Right.
And how experiences are shared, right? And that creates community, because when you don't use your voice, that's complicit. Right? You become complicit in the violence, although you actively aren't, participating. When you don't use your voice, it's loud, it's thunderous, and it's almost like you're applauding the actions that are taking place.
Yeah. All right, well, we have to go to our break, so we'll be back shortly.
Paint it all black. The crisp color of your uncle's collarbone. The one who gargles Jim Beam and bronzes the ribs at family barbecues each summer as his daddy did and his daddy's daddy. Paint all that shit black. Auntie's pound cake, the cups of Crown, Al Green booming in the backyard. Fling the fingers full of your mother's favorite flowers over fetid fields where brown bodies are birthed in prayer and silenced in a spray of bullets within seconds of showing no sign of being armed, but in full possession of blackness. Paint all that shit black. A pasture where Tupac yells young niggas on a vintage vinyl, and all the great Spades partners got a guaranteed spot in heaven's ghetto. Paint the deaf black. The weeping boy with the gnashing gold grill. See, he cracks a smile while dying on the inside. The mother that hugs her son's memory. See, he was only 22. His body an equation of bullets, 6 carried the 2. Sounds like the time 16 bullets were sent after Fannie Lou. Paint all that shit black. The complicit silence, the protest of a pining people, every knot that has lynched the breath from the neck of a nigga, the juke joints where ghosts and gangs drive all night long, where a dance goes before the death, where a necrotic paradise is looking for a bed, a home, a willing vessel, and the world shouts, show me your hands, your fro, your frightened but sizzling fists. Fox News shouts, show me your skin between the teeth of pit bulls and alleyways. In the hereafter, the nail box nigga, show us your glory and your forgiveness. And always remind them, no matter how many seats go missing at your dinner table, you have always forgiven them.
Oh, Will, that was an amazing piece. Just words are so powerful. So earlier you talked about R. Kelly.
That's a touchy subject.
Let's elaborate. How are you feeling about all that?
The
Okay,
scandal.
R. Kelly is canceled,
So
basically, right?
he's been
And
canceled.
let me tell you why, right? And this is why misogyny needs to be canceled. So misogyny makes way for violence on women. Misogyny makes way for men to be violent on other men. And this goes into black men and other men, right? That aren't able to express themselves.
Yep.
And so just to unpack the R. Kelly situation, and everyone's like, well, I can't separate the artist from his music. But we see how misogyny works, well, heteronormative misogyny, when Frank Ocean came out as bisexual and he was saying, Nothing About You was about a guy. People could not listen to the song.
Like he was
But ego, the male ego showed up and said, and the male ego is so fragile, right? Let's talk about that. And so they had to cancel Frank Ocean because it threatened their sexual security, which that should be in question anyway if you're threatened by that.
Right.
But R. Kelly, his art is a direct reflection of his lack of morale and his actions that he were doing with these young girls. And for the parents that want to say, or I see a lot of people out there saying that, well, the girls knew what they were doing. Let's talk about the mental maturity, right? Of the 14 and 15-year-old. And their attraction to power. And of course, they're easy to manipulate.
Exactly.
And we don't hold men accountable.
No, because
for
we're real
their sexual
quick to
behaviors.
say, especially for our young African-American girls, oh, she's fast. Oh, she's out in these streets.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's a child.
She was asking for what?
Right.
What if she came from a broken home and didn't know any better?
Yeah, where
What
the
if she
parents
knew
that
any
are supposed to protect her?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And why do we excuse his man's behavior, right? And why do we continue to show up for him? One of his shows sold out. This days. And it was women that showed up. So
Yelling, kidnap me.
yelling. And that shows you how patriarchy can transcend gender, and it makes it okay for women's body to be violated, you know, and it gives voice to men that continue this behavior. And it says, you know what? One thing that happened after the R. Kelly, while I went to high school, this guy was sodomizing his daughter. And all of a sudden, people took it seriously. And that's why I'm not sharing no R. Kelly meme, nothing that, makes fun of sexual abuse or sexual assault, because these are real situations.
It's not funny.
It's not funny, right?
These are somebody on your timeline that
have suffered.
Been abused.
Yeah.
And it's kind of supporting him, even reposting the meme. It's like you kind of believe in it, you kind of think it's funny. Anything with your name or your brand on it, I'm not supporting.
You keeping them buzzing.
Exactly. You keeping them popular, keeping them fresh, you keeping them new. Like.
And I want to hit on the hoteps out there that's talking about, we always want to tear black men down. let's do this in private. No, excuse my language, expose that nigga. Because if you have the audacity to violate black women, then you should not be in this space. You don't belong in this space. And when we vocalize that, then that behavior stops. Because that says it's okay if your mother is violated, it's okay if your sister, it's okay if your daughter, and I don't want none of that.
But the crazy thing that I think people are supporting this man, but I feel like if he wasn't an artist, would you still support him? If he wasn't an artist, would you still support him?
That's a good question.
But they support their uncles.
Right.
They support their uncles.
But sometimes they might bash their uncles. If an uncle rapes a girl, they'll put them on social media, bash them.
I think in our community,
we sweep it.
Yeah, we sweep it. I think we have a lot of girls, and even older, our great aunts, our aunties, we have them who have those stories, but they weren't believed because mama was like, oh no, you just making up stories. Oh, you out there being fast again.
For that show Greenleaf, for a prime example.
Oh yeah.
I don't like also how like people be like, okay, well what about Hugh Hefner? What about whoever else? Like that's not the point. People be thinking just because they say black people supposed to stick together that mean that we not supposed to hold each other accountable. Hell no, bro. If you wrong, you wrong.
Wrong is wrong, right?
I know if anybody try something with my daughter and I hear about it, I'm getting to the bottom of it. Somebody finna talk to me. We finna get some type of understanding to figure out the root of the problem.
Where are the parents?
To these young girls.
I haven't
You haven't seen them or
you
heard
didn't,
anything
you
of
didn't
them.
hear about them or see them or anything. And it's like, it starts in the home. We're not teaching these young girls that they are worth something, that they're valuable. And then, so yeah, they go and they see a powerful man in there and they let them do whatever because they don't know that they're worth more than that. So it starts in the home.
And they be thinking that's how it's supposed to go because you grew up without your father. So now you see this one man, you think, oh, he got money, he got power, he got fame, he got notoriety.
Just the end all be all of a man.
Exactly.
It ain't even a man at all, bro.
They weren't taught what a man is.
Yep.
And so we also touched on churches, you know, you going to the church, you know, confiding in someone, letting them know what you're going through, and then they just kind of abuse you, basically.
It's a lot of that
Some
going on in
churches.
churches.
Some churches, right. Some churches, of course, but just with the recent issue that happened with John Gray, that was a prime example of somebody that you're trusting, somebody that you're confiding in. She was 16 years old, dealing with a married man. So where do we hold him accountable? Because he went on national TV, talked to his congregation, swept it up under the rug, but he's a face. He's the face. God has trusted him to lead his people. So how do we sweep that under the rug? How do we just say, oh, it's okay, it's okay? How do we still believe in that when he isn't doing his part as a man or, you know, as someone that is supposed to be covering the people of Christ?
See, that goes back from the idea of just even from slavery, where we're taught from then we gotta suck everything up, cause we're this powerful people. So you have this event because I didn't even know everything about the John Gray situation. Like he messing with a 16-year-old girl.
She was 16.
Like all that, but especially dealing with a church who's primarily built on faith and just praying away everything, like we've been talking about. So it goes back to, okay, you're right. It's the devil that did this. Wasn't the man that did this. We're not gonna hold the right. We're not. It's easy to hold the intangible spirit because we don't the intangible accountable because we don't need to see that. Instead of just the man that's right in front of the church people that did all this. And it goes back to just us wanting to still have that image of we're strong. We don't whatever we go through, we just pray it away, and we just. Like y'all been saying, throw it under the rug. We don't actually deal with it.
So try to give it that invisible cloak.
Right.
Yeah.
It ain't there. They ain't got to deal with it all type of thing.
And this is how male privilege works, right?
Exactly.
He was so sure that he could present this to his congregation and nothing would happen. Exactly. And what happened? Nothing. Yeah. Right? And so until we start challenging the norms of patriarchal systems, it's going to continue to replay and replay.
To stand for something.
Right?
Yeah.
And stop using God as a cop-out.
Exactly.
God's not condoning this.
Yeah. Exactly.
It goes back to the whole, even, I always looked at it is we have, as black people, we have so much faith. And that's great. We're supposed to have so much faith. But we don't have as much work. You know what I'm saying? We don't have, if I have faith that God can get rid of my anxiety and depression, that's enough to move a mountain. But I gotta get to moving.
Right.
I gotta get my feet up. So I gotta go talk to the man. But then I can't really, it goes even further to the fact that if I go find somebody who I can talk to, it's going to be, I come in, a 12-year-old black boy, anxious, depressed, suicidal tendencies, who's in front of me, a 40-year-old white man, upper class. What does he know about me?
And let's talk about the fetishizing of the black body also, right? How our bodies are fetishized. And then we have to talk about how we make it only acceptable for pastors and creators to be emotional.
Yeah.
So that creates a safe place for predators. So I'm coming to you because I know that you're allowed to tell me these things because you're an emotional being, right? You know, our mothers teach us like, oh, pastors, they glorify pastors more than they glorify their husbands sometimes, or vice versa. And so it's like when you go into this space, your guards are down, and I'm presenting to you who I am, and you have full range because no one else around me is emotionally mature, intellectually mature, and I'm a sitting duck.
But I feel like we also have to stop putting so much power onto these human beings because at the end of the day, they take their pants down. They do everything that we do. They just have a title. But if you aren't holding up to that title, why should I confide in you? Why should I do anything? Because you're living just like I'm living at this point. You're living in sin. You're just living any type of way. So I think that's the main thing that we need to focus on. Like, these people are human. Stop putting them on this high pedestal. Oh my gosh, he is a pastor. But that pastor then sinned a few times. So, he has a family, so it's just, I think it's also just realizing that these people are humans. Although that they hold this high title, they are humans just like us. They go to bed just like us. They wake up just like us. So I think that's the biggest thing, even as African Americans, you got them praying mothers and praying grandmothers that sweep everything under the rug. But at the same time, if you took that person as a person, if you saw that person of who he really was, I don't think that some of the issues that they got away with, would be possible, would happen.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys would like to talk about? Topics you guys would like to discuss?
I guess no further as far as like outlets, if you need to talk to somebody, I've recently been seeing like more people reach out to people that you don't necessarily know on a personal level because you don't feel that sense of judgment as you would when you're talking to your mama or your first cousin or your best friend because they don't necessarily know you from a day-to-day basis, so you don't feel so heavy talking to them about what you're going through. And with a lot of people it works, it helps them, it's like a stress relief because now I got this off my chest, I didn't talk about it, I didn't got some insight on it, but I don't have to come back and look at you tomorrow but you judge me because of what I told you.
And I've had people come to me, because I'm just open with my social media and everything, come to me and they tell me these it's like, it's heavy, these heavy things. Right, and so at the same time, you're right, talk to somebody. And it's kind of better off to talk to a stranger because, like I said, strangers are going to judge you. But at the same time, be open. Like us as a people, I don't really think, just us as even human beings, I don't think we really listen as much as we really need to. Like we're quick to have an opinion, but we're not quick to absorb an opinion. So it's just like someone like that, like my brother can come to me about anything, and we can just sit and I swear I don't say a single word. I don't give advice unless it's asked for. Because we're quick to give advice, but not quick to really just empty out a whole perspective and fill ourselves with another perspective. You're right at the same time. You're right because you have to talk to somebody. But even like as you or you, as is us, the best thing that we can do is one, just open up this dialogue.
And a lot of people be so quick to give that advice because in a sense, it's a way for them to hide from their own demons.
Right.
Oh, now I can try to make you feel better and not worry about what I got going on because I'm trying to help you now.
Right.
So now I don't have to deal with what I got going on, but you still do. Yeah. You still do. It ain't no getting. You don't have to meet yourself. Yeah, it ain't no getting away.
But see, even even going from that perspective of somebody is bearing their heart to you, something might come, and when they say something, it sparks within you because you're dealing with something the same way. And in some kind of way, you vent to them in a way that kind of reverts back to you. Like in a way, like God speaks to you through you. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, okay, if I come to you with a problem, and I might be going through that problem as well, but because I'm more open to giving someone else advice or helping someone else, I might have inadvertently helped myself. Yeah, because I should take that advice
Right.
too.
Like, oh, I said some stuff.
I need to remember that.
Exactly.
Yeah, write that down. Yeah, that was good for me.
I be more subjected to listening to people now, bro, because it's like I lost my brother due to a suicide a few years ago, and after talking to his mom, he was like my best friend, but not my brother. But after talking to his mom, it was like we was going through some of the same situations. Right. But I would have never knew it from looking at him on the face value, because every time I see him, he smiling, he laughing. Hey, what's up, bro? What's going on with you? It's always a good time. But we was going through a lot of the same situations, so I feel like, man, we could have just maybe held a conversation. He wouldn't have had to go through that. Right. We just could have. Even if the conversation would have just went deeper than, hey, what we doing this weekend?
Yeah.
Like, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
how is it real? How you
doing? How are you?
That comes back to men having to be heartless. You can't say, hey, bro, I'm not doing all right. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be that way.
And I think we have a responsibility, as we are we are the adults now. Y'all don't feel like adults sometimes, for the generation that's younger than us, because if you see in the news, our young African American babies are committing suicide at a higher rate than they've ever been. So it's our responsibility now, if you're working in the community, if you have kids, if you just like, I need to get in my community, to let these kids know you're valued, you're worthy, you have someone you can talk to if they can't talk to their parents, because most of the time their parents are like our parents were, or because that's how they were raised, or their parents don't have time, they have other priorities. So I feel like we have a responsibility to take care of our younger babies coming up, because we are having this conversation with each other, but now we have to go out, and our call to action is to have those conversations with them.
I feel you on that. I feel like it's a big lack of guidance and teaching within the youth. Nobody's telling people or telling the youth which way they should go, or like nobody's cultivating them anymore. They just give them a phone
or even giving them an option besides the stereotypical basketball, sports type of thing. There's nothing wrong with that. If your kid wants to be the best basketball player, football player at school, but maybe your little boy wants to be a ballet dancer.
Just because you don't understand,
you know what I'm saying? Maybe your little girl really wants to play football.
Right.
Yeah. Cultivate that, because he might come up in ballet and be something that you see right on television. And when I grew up in an area where like, no, you gotta be a man. Like, no, that's sissy stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. Yeah. Anything anything that's not of what we cultivated as a community, if anything that's not cool is shunned, or we don't look at them as a man or as a woman for doing that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, even now, like, I could, like, as a poet or writer, a more creative outlet of an individual, I'm not going to be looked at the same way as the football player or anything that's maybe just a physical, just even the person who holds down the 9 to 5 and works the 60, the 60-hour work stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
And I think it starts with like the small gestures.
Yep.
You know, I wrote a book, A Garden for Black Boys. I'll be damned if I walk past a black boy in the street and not speak.
Exactly.
Or walk past somebody and not acknowledge them.
Yes.
If we doing this work and we're creating and we're not actually, committing to it, remove yourself, right? Yeah. So it's just really initiating the most basic things. Hey, how you doing?
Smile.
Smile.
You look nice today. I like
see
your hair. I like your glasses.
Yeah, because everybody wants to be seen.
Right.
Everybody wants to be seen.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really enjoyed you guys. Great. No problem. All right, and we will leave you with this.
You ready? Hello, are you ready? See, that's that shit I be talking about, man. You always on your damn phone.
I know you are not talking.
Yeah,
as
it
much
is
as
me
you stay on your game
communicating
and with your
with
homeboys
you
and stuff,
about
man,
you.
can't say shit
Always
to me
talking
about
at the
my
wrong
phone.
time, and
So
you don't know when to shut
about?
up.
Why
won't you
just listen? I've tried to express myself with the words that I say. Even give telltale hints in the lyrical content of the songs that I play. Yet you still don't hear me.
Really? See, that's your problem. It's always the need to respond, but never the intent to understand. You never really want to talk. You want to tell me what it is. There's no compromise or empathy with you. Just your rights and I'm wrong. Reasons as to why we can't get along.
No. See, we've gotten along just fine. But it seems like every time I want to say what's on my mind, it's an issue. I really just don't get you. It's all good until I feel hurt or misunderstood.
But you can't just shut me out as soon as I open my mouth. Because it's all about communication.
Communication or arbitration? Dealing with the outside world is a constant one which I could never win. Always having to wear this tough masculine vulnerability. I don't have the energy to come home and go 12 rounds while I'm supposed to have peace. Can't you see that I'm tired?
Tired too.
Can't you see that I feel helpless? Can't you see that I'm hurting too? But nah, your optical perception will only allow you to see what I don't do.
You don't think I get that?
You don't.
You don't think I'd rather sit back and chill instead of constantly nagging you about how I feel? Well, I do. But as much as I'd like to, I can't just sit back and play cool when every time I come to you, anytime I come to you with anything, your response is, like, damn, are you ever listening? I know your days are long and hard, but you can't keep playing that card because, honestly, it doesn't take much to listen and pay attention.
I'm just asking for some understanding. Why do you have to be so self-demanding? It's always me, 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 me. But when's the last time you ever asked about me or even thought about we? It seems as if you're only cool when I'm coming through for you. But what about when I can't make do and provide all of my affection for you? Well, then I guess it's just get it how you live. Because I gave you all I had to give. But I guess it just wasn't enough.
Enough. I've really had enough. I know love is tough, but it's worth it. And we deserve it. So what do you think we should do to resolve this issue? I'll listen.
Different way. Hey, sway. Yeah, I was downtown, glad I hit the sport, and now I'm really sliding.